welcome to That's Based. Happy Wednesday. I'm your host, as always, Caleb Salvatore, reporting from somewhere underground. We're laughing our way through the end of days, and we're brought to you by Outlaw Streamers, where you can go. We're also brought to you by Blood of Tyrants Wines, I forgot to say. You can go use the promo code BASED, B-A-S-E-D, like the title of the show. You'll save 10% off your order at the checkout on either the Liquid Freedom energy drink that you see pictured right there, the red Blood of Tyrants wine, or the white Tears of Tyrants wine. Again, that's drinkbloodofTyrants.com with the promo code BASED. You'll save 10% off your order at the checkout on a fantabulous, do they still use that word, or is that like a early 2000s kid word? Fantabulous product. DrinkbloodofTyrants.com. Promo code BASED. You'll save 10% off your order at the checkout. All right, well, it's Tuesday night. We're pre-taping this. I'm not drinking Coors Light at 9 o'clock on Wednesday morning. I'm not degenerates like you, nor am I in Las Vegas, where I will probably be drinking Coors Lights at 9 o'clock in the morning when you see me in about a month. Before we get into this episode, I do want to give a special... it's not... I hate to call it a special one because this is going to sound really gay. There's a special dude, not in that way, you perverts, that I want to give a shout out to that he passed away last week. It was Greg Jones, who was the owner of Barley Street Tavern in Benson. Absolute titan. I'll put it this way. It was rather unexpected. I don't know. Please spare it. I don't want to hear, was he vaccinated? That's not the time or the place. Rather unexpected death. Let me put it this way. The Omaha comedy scene that I came up in does not exist in the capacity it was in when I was coming up without Greg Jones. And I don't exist without Greg Jones. This show doesn't exist without Greg Jones. A lot of my personal friendships and close relationships I've made don't exist without Greg Jones. It's kind of a butterfly effect thing. We worked with him a number of times booking shows down at Barley Street Theater, and he will absolutely be missed. Greg, you're a fucking legend. I would pour some out for you, but I'm in the house right now, and my wife will get pissed if I pour beer on the carpet. So rest in peace, brother. Okay, let's talk. Let's do some Heartland hot takes. We haven't done one of these in a while because it's not every day that the local news leaks your group chat. That doesn't happen every day. Yeah. Fun times, right? You always see those memes where guys are like on Instagram Reels where it's like guys getting arrested or, somebody swallowing a cyanide pill or shooting themselves or something like that from a movie. And it'll be like me if the group chat ever gets released. Well, my group chat actually got leaked. It got leaked. Actually, it got leaked last Friday. And this is how in touch with everything going on in my personal life that I am. I didn't even know about it until Tuesday when the news broke, when the local news reported it, and actually a rather prominent member of the community, whom I will not name, reached out to me and told me about what was going on here. So, as teased, here's the story of what happened. So there is a group chat, or was, it's been nuked. There was a group chat on Signal. It was reported that it was Facebook. It wasn't Facebook. There was a group chat on Signal where a lot of the local politicos would interact. And most of them were right-wing. You had some libertarians in there. You had some maybe more independent folks. It's not a left-wing group. Now, of course, there were over 300 people in this group. I'm sure there were left-wing moles, as there are right-wing moles in left-wing groups. I know that to be true as well. But so there's a ton of people in there. So here's my thing. I don't have as much to lose in that group chat as 90% of the people in there. Because I am a comedian. Any shocking shit I'm going to say in that group chat is stuff you've heard me say 10 times worse than right here on the air. So I have no problem. I mean, my bar for what's acceptable to say in public is really, really low in those settings. So I just go off because I've already taken the rope to hang myself in a lot of people's minds, and everyone who still listens obviously doesn't have a problem with it, right? There are a few, very few, elected officials in there. You don't put a lot of candidates in this group chat for this reason. Mainly it's people that manage campaigns, that donate to campaigns, that work on campaigns. I'm not going to out anyone that's in it. It's it was a secret group chat. It was supposed to be super duper secret, right? Well, some screenshots of that got leaked, and I don't know for sure who did it, but I've got an idea who did it. And I won't tell you the name, even though they've kind of already been outed publicly, if it's who I think it was. But I will drop little hints, right, later on in the show. So this chat, there is a left-wing activist in Omaha who is very infamous on Twitter. And she, if you're involved in the local political Twitter, you know who this woman is. We're not going to give her the time of day and use her name, but you know who this woman is if you've ever stumbled upon local Twitter in Nebraska politics. Chances are you've seen her and her terrible lip injections. Well, when I mean, this woman's borderline communist. I think she admits to being a socialist. I could be wrong. Borderline Marxist with a lot of her rhetoric. And a screenshot got shared a couple of weeks ago in this group chat of her and her, I think it's her husband, at the Pride Parade. Now, here's the picture that got shared in the group chat. There's her. She's the one on the left. I know they both look feminine, but she's the one on the left. And there's her husband with a shirt that says, "I'm a proud homosexual." Whatever that means. Then they've got their little license plate standing next to their Lexus. By the way, a Lexus is just an expensive Toyota. Buying a Lexus is the best way to let people know that not only are you materialistic, but you're stupid. Because you're paying $20,000 to $30,000 above sticker for a Toyota because of the logo on the front. So buying a Lexus is like the worst of both worlds. At least the BMW drivers, the pricks that drive BMWs, at least those guys have got a little bit of class to their ride. Right? And, then there's the people that buy the smart cars, those death traps that can't make it through snow or rain or anything. They're just stupid. But if you want to let people know that you're materialistic, vain, and stupid, buy a Lexus. It's the universal symbol for being a materialistic idiot. Anyways, rant over. I got to fit one of those rants in at least once a show. I apologize to our audience members that drive Lexuses. Not because I offended you, but because you got scammed. Okay, anyway, back to this picture. They've got a license plate, a Nebraska plate, that says 8647 FDT. Now, we've reported extensively on the 8647 and the different interpretations of that. Some people think it means get rid of. I don't know how you get rid of him. Many of these people have openly admitted he's not going to be impeached. He's term limited, which really means there's only one way you can kind of get rid of him, which is what a lot of conservatives think they mean when they say this, which is that they want to whack him. They want to go galooly on his head, basically. And then FDT, fuck Donald Trump, obviously, is what that means. They're not saying forget Donald Trump. So that's the image that got shared in the group chat right there. I go on, and now what you'll see here is there's a screenshot that's now being circulated around the several local news outlets. They touched on it on 1110 KFAB on Scott Voorhees' show. By the way, I'm pissed because they skipped my message. I had the funniest joke in it, and they skipped it on Scott Voorhees. They didn't even address it. He said, I didn't get the reference, and you'll see why he didn't get it when I pull it up here. Because the guy's head's cut off in the screenshot, because the person who took the screenshot doesn't want you to know who it was, even though, as we'll find out later on in the episode, those people don't care all that much about you. So I have everyone's names labeled here so you know who these people are. So they send the picture, and then, so we have three people. So the first reply is from Caleb Salvatore. We've got over on the side there, sexiest man alive. I just wanted everyone to know because the local news did not refer to me as my preferred pronouns. And I said, Johnny Bravo sighting, which is funny. I mean, look, he looks like if Johnny Bravo got this horrible infection and was in the hospital for months and lost a bunch of weight and couldn't work out, that would be Johnny Bravo. If you're going to get hair like that and dye it blonde, or maybe it's natural, I don't know. But if the guy's going to grow his hair out, I'm not even being a bully. It's not like I'm making fun of his weight or his height or any features or disabilities that he can't control. When you grow your hair out like that and dye it blonde, I would be doing a disservice if I didn't compare you to Johnny Bravo. It's just the truth. So I said, Johnny Bravo sighting. And then you get this next reply from Evan Schmeitz. And I'm only saying his name because it's already made, everyone knows who said this. It's already made the rounds. Otherwise, I would have blacked everyone's name out because I have the courtesy to do that. But Evan, who is the former campaign manager for Dan Osborne for Senate, those guys are big fans of mine, by the way. So I've heard. He replies to this picture. And he says, and I quote, dude's gayer than Elton John's handbag, end quote. And I got a kick out of that one. That was pretty funny. It wasn't as funny as the Johnny Bravo remark, but it was funny, right? So he says that. He has DFE'd, delete fucking everything, on social media. He's a ghost now, essentially. You cannot find him. My guess is because he knew the blowback was coming when this got leaked. The third message here, I'm not even going to say the guy's name. If you're watching, you can see it. If you're listening and you're interested, you can go look it up. It's all over the news locally here. You can go look at it. He's been through enough bullshit. I'm not going to drag his name anymore. He's an elected official. And he says, maybe that's why she's crazy. She's never been fucked properly. And that's the chat that got leaked to the general public. And that last message is what's riling everybody up. That's got everybody all worked up. Well, I don't know. I mean, look, here's my thing. Here's my thing with this. I am not going to try to cancel anybody or join in on any type of mob condemning and blah, blah, blah. Was it an off-color remark? Yes. Yes, it was. Probably not something you should say, especially if you're an elected official. And what have I told you guys? I've told you guys about these people that work in politics. These people who work in politics, you cannot trust them because you are only useful to them so long as you are a means to their end. The moment you become expendable, or God forbid, the moment you become a liability, 95% of them will chew you up and spit you out, then sell you down the river to hell for a stick of bubble gum. Immediately, right? There's no question about it. So, like I said, I'm a comedian. I run a loudmouth talk show that airs 3 times a week, now airing on Chris Baker Radio, by the way, on Live 365. Everybody expects me to say stupid stuff. As an elected official, probably not the best thing to say. I am also not a fan of men making remarks about women saying they just need to, they've never been fucked properly or whatever. That's not my thing. However, let's call this like it is. This is a political hit job. Nobody is actually offended. Nobody that's freaking out is actually offended by what he said. That's not the case at all. They see this as an opportunity to kneecap somebody who's in elected office, albeit a minuscule one, but to kneecap their political opponent who's a little bit outspoken about some views that maybe don't align with theirs. That's all this is. They're using their supposed moral outrage from an off-color comment that was not befitting of an elected official to justify the mob here. Because you can't just go after people anymore for no reason. You actually have to have, we're making progress in fighting cancel culture, right? You actually have to have some type of, in your mind, justification to go after people now. You can't just go after them for funsies. So they're using that as an excuse, right? Not a joke I would make, personally, but they're acting like the guy killed somebody. They're acting like he assaulted somebody. As far as I know, he hasn't done any of that. Now, I've met the guy a number of times. He's always been extremely friendly to me. It's, I've never had an issue with him. I saw an article that said he was, and I quote, a proponent of white power, end quote. I've never gotten that vibe from him. I could be mistaken. I don't hang out with white nationalists. I know, I'm in an interracial marriage. I would prefer not to be around the types of people who think my marriage should be outlawed. Crazy concept, I know. So I've never gotten that vibe from him. I've never heard him say anything like that. I've never gotten the vibe that he was a creep. It was an off-color joke that, I hate to break it to you, men, and I'm using the word men specifically because liberal men are a different category. They don't fit into this group. Men, when we are around each other, make jokes like that. I mean, you guys that are freaking out about this, you've never been on a job site before. You've never been in a warehouse job before. It ain't that. You've, God forbid, never been in a locker room or a sauna with a bunch of old dudes before. Because I promise you, you'd be begging for this. So the moral outrage, look, it's, I'm just mad. I need to issue an apology to people because I was the most tame one in this group, and it's not even close. I mean, you guys have come to expect vulgarity and verbal abuse and all types of nasty comments from me, and I was by far the most mild one there. And I promise that the next time my group chats get leaked, I will make sure to be more on my game and come in a little bit heavier. Okay. Now let's talk about why this is relevant politically here and why I think that, that this goes a little bit deeper than just somebody with some good Samaritan who saw an off-color remark about a woman and just wanted to spill the beans to her. Let's talk about why I think that's not the case. So I said in that group chat earlier on last week, I said, we're going to endorse Lindstrom on Saturday. Brett Lindstrom. There's a congressional race here in Omaha between Brinker Harding, city councilman, and Brett Lindstrom, former state senator, ran for governor 2 years ago, 4 years ago, 3 years ago. I'll get it right eventually. I said in the group chat, we're going to endorse Lindstrom on Saturday. Not that my endorsement is pivotal or anything like that, but I think it's important for my audience to know where I stand on these issues so that there's no surprises. It's Caleb's favoring one candidate and attacking the other. I like to be transparent so that you guys know how I feel about this. Yeah, you know what? I am a little biased when I tackle these issues, and something tells me after I break down some of these strange coincidences with this group chat, you guys might feel the same way. Here's what I'll say. I said last week, we're going to endorse Lindstrom on Saturday. I get a text message in less than an hour saying that message had been leaked, reported back from the local collaborative group chat to a Brinker-Harding group chat. Ooh, yes, sweetheart. I have moles as well. And it was reported that I was going to endorse him. Again, I don't know why my endorsement is all that important. It's not like, obviously I didn't move the needle for Dan Fry. Obviously I didn't move the needle for Mike McDonald. I'm 0-2 here. If this doesn't pan out for me, they're going to tell me, thanks for the endorsement. We don't want it going forward. So I don't know why anybody cared. Actually, I do. I'm being facetious. From an outsider perspective, it doesn't make sense why anybody would care. We got our own little niche audience here. We've got a somewhat significant following locally. But it's not like if I tell you guys to go vote for somebody that, boom, there's 50,000 votes right there. No, of course not. So the reason, but I was told that it was leaked back to that and to be careful. Specifically with how I made my endorsement. Because that was going to be scrutinized. Now, the Lindstrom campaign didn't share it. They didn't like it. I didn't expect them to. I understand I'm radioactive. So I understand, like, I appreciate when people like Dan Fry and Mike McDonald want to associate themselves with me, but I don't expect it. I make endorsements for myself and for my audience so that people know where we stand on these issues. So, in my opinion, the reason that they were so... The only thing that makes sense to me as to why they would care that we endorsed Brett Lindstrom over Brinker-Harding is so that if Lindstrom ever appeared on my show or shared something, followed me, liked me, whatever, posed for a picture with me, that they would already have clips of me saying incendiary things on this show, which, by the way, aren't hard to find, ready to roll to tie him to me, to paint me as some type of right-wing extremist who's makes inflammatory comments and all this stuff, right? That's the only thing that makes sense to me. Why they would give a damn that I made any type of endorsement. So, this group chat, these messages delete after a week. And you can see with Signal has a little clock next to the messages to show you how far back they were when they were sent compared to, when it's going to expire. And this one's on like the 11th hour in these screenshots. I'll pull it up for you. You can see. Right there. Maybe the 10th hour. Maybe I exaggerated a little bit. But it's toward the end, right? So it's nearly been a week. These were sent a couple of weeks ago. Adam... I just said his name. Damn it. Well, oh well. The individual in question endorsed Brett Lindstrom publicly a couple of weeks ago on his Facebook account. Then all of a sudden, this gets leaked to the press. This group chat comes out. These screenshots that were saved weeks ago get sent out to the press. Now, I'm not accusing any campaign of any wrongdoing. I'm just showing you the timeline of what happened. If anyone from either campaign would like to come on and set the record straight, I'd be more than happy to talk to you. If you're from the Harding campaign, I don't trust you in my house. We'll do it virtually. So what this looks like to me is that the person, who I won't name but I'll drop little hints about, who made this endorsement was surgical in their methods. They took these screenshots and sat on them till the endorsement came out. And they didn't leak it to the press. They did not leak these messages to the press. These messages got leaked to left-wing activists that caused a public meltdown on social media, and then forwarded them to the press. So they used them as a vehicle. This is a pattern that we are noticing here, folks. This is scumbag politics. Now, here's how I know this wasn't a liberal that leaked these messages. Now, of course, the liberals have infiltrated this group. There's moles in this group. We have moles in their groups. That goes without saying. But the Democrats are all in on Dan Osborne. They're all in on Dan Osborne for Senate. Even though Evan is not directly involved with that campaign anymore, don't you think they would have cropped his messages out if it were some left-wing mole? Why would they sacrifice the one race that they actually have a chance at winning by associating their guy with that type of language? They wouldn't do it. Because I'm seeing Democrats comment, if this is what Dan Osborne's campaign's about, I'm staying home. Maybe they'll write in Todd. Piss the couch again. This isn't a mole from the left. No. This looks to me like it was surely an inside job. This, in my opinion, and I'm just expressing my opinion, appears to be a Republican campaign operative from another campaign that leaked an internal message to left-wing activists who then forwarded it to the press so that they could smear a political opponent by association. And if that's the case, folks, this backs up everything I've been saying, specifically about establishment politics. It doesn't matter if there's an R or a D next to your name. These people have no souls. These are sociopaths that this business attracts. If they did, they wouldn't be colluding with open Marxists to destroy people's lives and careers over a fucking primary where, if you want me to be totally honest with you, there's about 5 or 6 issues that really separate these two guys. Otherwise, they're copy and paste. But it doesn't matter to these people. These people, if they felt that it was going to win, would run a communist campaign. They would run an anarchist. They'd run whatever it takes to get them to power these types of sociopaths that involve, and I'm not talking about anyone specifically, but these sociopaths that involve themselves in this political game. Here's what I'll tell you. The fact that this was leaked to left-wing activists. Do you know how many left-wing activists I have the contact information for? Do you know how many I know the names of? I could probably count on one hand. Do you know how many I could get in contact with that don't have me blocked already? 0. None. Not a single left-wing activist that I know how to get a hold of, that would even listen to me, that I'm not already blocked. I wouldn't even know most of these people if they walked up to me on the street and kicked me in the dick, which there's a greater than 0% chance of happening on any given day. So I think if what my opinion here, if my deductive reasoning here is true, I think it should disturb a lot of people that a so-called quote-unquote Republican, quote-unquote conservative congressional campaign, if this is true, appears to be actively in bed with Marxist and communist activists. should be a red flag there. How far are we going to take the enemy of my enemy is my friend? How far are we going to take that? I don't think that's a great game plan there. You know, like when Soviet Russia was obviously a big competitor for America, you didn't see us siding with the Nazis. There's a lot of people that think that how nice we were to Stalin and the communists to beat the Nazis because the enemy of our enemy was our friend caused a lot of problems later on down the road. That, yeah, it was worth it to beat the Nazis, but Stalin wasn't really our friend. We just had a similar end goal. So I think it's odd that these folks even have contact with these people, if what I'm saying is true. Good thing I had a beer today. If I'm speaking the truth. Now, we don't know for certain that this is what happened. I have to reiterate at the beginning and the end. This is speculation. But it appears to be dirty politics. And this is on brand for a lot of these people. And the liberals are, because here's the thing. You can't sell your soul to the devil and not expect it to come with some type of price. These people don't care about you guys. These people, again, the same way you see them as a vehicle to get to your end destination, they see you the same way. They don't like this guy. They don't like the people in this chat. They'll use the information you're feeding them, but if you think they're going to protect their sources, if you think they give a damn about you, if you think they wouldn't tell you to line up and face the wall the moment they got any real type of power, you got another thing coming. They don't care about you. They actively, in fact, I wouldn't be surprised if they did it right after they got this message. These people call you Nazis. They call you fascists. They call you genocide. I mean, all kinds of horrible, false nicknames. They call you, and you chose to align yourself. I don't align myself with people who say nasty things about me. Whether or not we have the same end goal, I prefer to stay away from them. But if that's the case, then so be it. Because they're name dropping. They're naming names. They're not naming names. They're using initials, and they're not deleting it, nor are they making it private, which proves they don't give a damn about their sources. They would like to see you get eaten alive by your own party. It's almost like they've got a game plan, too, and you can't trust these people. And if you're going to leak screenshots from a group chat, maybe do it anonymously so it doesn't get tracked back to you. Because when you're dealing with the people that hate you, as it turns out, they don't have a whole lot of care about what happens to you afterwards, career-wise. There's not a lot of regard for you there. Now, I saw one of the screenshots. Said they 4 days ago, this was posted where they said they had all this new information. They got a whole new batch of texts that got sent to them, and that these Republican male candidates were just saying all these horrible things in this group chat. And this was just scratching the surface, and it only gets worse from here, and yada, yada, yada. If that's the case, and this is what the liberals are saying, it sounds to me like they're blowing smoke. Or it's a different group chat. Because, like I said, they intentionally keep most candidates away from that and nearly every elected official away from that because of what you're watching unfold right now. So, if these screenshots are really in this person's possession, they didn't come from this group chat, or they're photoshopped. Because the implication was made in one of the comments that one of the people, it appears that they're alluding that it was none other than former governor, current senator, and full-time pinball, and pinhead, Pete Ricketts. I'm going to tell you right now, Pete Ricketts is not in my group chat. I'm not. Pete Ricketts wouldn't use the same bathroom as me. Okay? We're not in the same group chat. I promise you, sweetheart. I remember one time when because I had to put my wife's engagement ring on layaway when I got it years ago. I was behind someone with the last name as Pete Ricketts. They must have been related somehow at Borsheim's. I was making a layaway payment of like $100 on my wife's engagement ring, and she was there to pick up something that was probably worth more than my entire net worth at the time. That's the closest I've ever come to anyone in the Ricketts family, if they're even actually related. Which it's an unfortunate last name because it's like a disease for old people. I want to see, quit blowing smoke. And this is typical Democrat posturing bullshit. Let's see the other messages if they exist. Why wait? Leak them now. I mean, the comments, what were the comments saying here? I took a, it says, it's terrible. God bless the person who had the bravery. More screenshots were just sent to me, and I'm having a dilemma on releasing them. It won't bid well for several Republican campaigns. Bless their bald heads. I'm assuming that's the Ricketts insinuation there. I hear you, but the new screen... Someone says, I want to see it all. Replies, I hear you, but the new screenshots need some serious critical thinking, which is something these people are incapable of doing, so they'll never come out. It says, it's way worse than just the board member dude from Metro. These Republican candidate men are so effing gross. Love you. Sorry you and your husband have to deal with this. Love you so much. And then they say that this person is less than 7 degrees of separation away from Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. So do with all of that what you will. I'm telling you right now, unless I missed something, which I could have, there isn't anything. That chat is probably the peak of how egregious conversations got in that group chat. That screen grab we showed at the beginning of the show. Truly, I have no reason to come on here to lie to you. Because evidently, someone's been screenshotting everything. I don't know. I have no idea. I can't believe my group chat got leaked by the fucking news. It's a way to start your day. You know? Hell of a way to start the day. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. I think it's despicable, this level of infighting. Make no mistake. This isn't about establishment, anti-establishment. This isn't about MAGA versus traditional Republicans. This isn't about any type of civil war in the Republican Party, you know, between the Nikki Haley types and the Vivek Ramaswamy. This has nothing to do with that. It's worse. This is worse because if you had two candidates in a primary that were polar opposites and you were fighting for the soul of your party, I could almost understand why you would drag somebody through the mud like that, why you would intentionally destroy at least one, maybe two people. One guy just kind of got caught as collateral damage, as it appears. Not me. I was an innocent bystander, making funny PG-rated jokes, as you all know me so well for. I don't understand, though, why, like, if that were the case, I could understand it. Like I said, these two candidates don't have a giant gap between the two of them. There's not that big of a difference. Just a couple of issues, really, and who's supporting them. That's it. Now, those issues are big ones, like COVID policy, where Brinker Harding was pro-mask mandate. It's a big one to me, because you sold me out before, you'll do it again. You know, what did George Bush say? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, and we'll be fooled again. but I'm not going to fall for it again, you know? So I don't trust you. Trust is big with me, as you can see. I spent a long time doing this diatribe here. Here's what I'll say, though. Back to what I was saying. There's not a huge gap between these guys. So you're not fighting for the direction and the very soul of the Republican Party here. You're fighting over power. And that's despicable. Power. You're fighting for wins and losses. What was one of our chief critiques of Kamala Harris? Was that she destroyed people's lives as a prosecutor whom were innocent just so she could get more wins added to her column? Well, it's so very, very few differences between the two candidates, except if what I believe to be true here, again, and I'm not making any objective claims, but what it looks like to me is there's a massive difference in integrity between the two campaigns, because I haven't heard about this from the other one. So that's all I got on that. That's all I got. We'll touch on on the other side of that race, we've got a new candidate, just threw her name in, Crystal Rhodes, who is the Douglas County clerk. I don't know what the Douglas County clerk does. I'm going to be totally honest with you. I know when I was 19, I had a job while I was in college, and I would vote. And it was my first election I could vote in. How old was I? No, I was 21. So it was the second election I could really vote in. It was 2016. And I voted for my old boss at that time to be the Douglas County clerk. And the next morning, he's getting ready to take his kid to school and come to work. And his son is up, like, out of tension, watching the local news because they're going down through, because he told his son that, my employee voted for me for Douglas County clerk. So he's watching the news with his breakfast as the names are coming down. And he goes, "Dad, hurry up and get in here. They're going to announce the Douglas County clerk." He was thinking that it was going to show his dad up on the TV, like his face with just one vote underneath it. And ever since then, I've always written that guy in for Douglas County clerk. So if I have somehow led to this woman's reign of terror because her opponents have always been one vote short, I apologize, but it's a funny story, and I like funny stories more than I like saving the world. So she's the Douglas County clerk, Crystal Rhodes. She is entering. There's another candidate it's going to be a crowded primary. It already is. You've got Kavanaugh. You've got this Denise, meth mouth John Kavanaugh, the state senator, who we'll get to in a minute here. You've got this Denise Powell, who appears to be like a radical left-wing activist. She'll get that 20% of the party that always votes for them. And then you've got this other guy, or this other girl, besides Crystal Rhodes, that's thrown her name in the hat as well. And I got a text message, not from her, but from an 833 number campaigning for us. Says, Hi, Caleb. I'm Kishla Askins, a proud Midwesterner, a retired naval officer, a healthcare provider, and a national security professional. So I looked Kishla up because I found that to be odd. And she went to college here, but we have this thing called online college. I know, believe it or not, Nebraskans, we do have internet access. She went to college here, but I can't find work history in Nebraska. Now, it's entirely possible she had a bunch of remote jobs. It's entirely possible she left some stuff off. This is all on her LinkedIn account. It's all public. But don't we find it odd that she refers to herself here as a proud Midwesterner? Because usually they say a proud Nebraskan, proud Omahan, whatever. A Midwestern, that's a pretty wide array of states. I mean, you're spanning all the way from the Panhandle in Nebraska to, depending on who you're talking to, Eastern Pennsylvania. all the way down to Kentucky, hit Missouri and Kansas on. I mean, that's a big swath of states there. You go up to Minnesota, Michigan, Wisconsin, Ohio, like Midwestern. Why did you say I'm a proud American at that point? From American Samoa or something like that. So we're already off to a bad start here because I don't trust you. This feels like a carpetbagging situation. This feels like somebody's propping this campaign up because they want some type of establishment puppet here. Says, today I'm officially launching my campaign for Congress in Nebraska's 2nd District, blah, blah, blah. Can I please have your money? No. Over the decades, I've led military medical missions around the world, created the Navy's first emergency medicine PA fellowship, and improved care and efficiency at the Department of Veterans Affairs, which is hilarious if you talk to anyone who uses the Department of Veterans Affairs. So she has immediately lost the entire veteran vote with that statement. So she can go on there and say, hey, everyone who's using the VA, you're welcome. And immediately, not a single veteran in the district is going to vote for her. Says, I've also led policy. This is the best part. I've also led policy. This is a legitimate candidate here on the biosecurity risks of thawing permafrost and and the climate challenges facing our national security, because keeping our communities safe means preparing for threats both seen and unforeseen. So we've got candidates that are really, I mean, they're 20 steps ahead of the game here in Nebraska's 2nd District, right? That are talking about these issues. You know, we've got a lady she's trying to freeze the permafrost, which there's more of than there was 100 years ago, by the way. You can look it up. And then we've got another guy who's trying to outlaw tipping at bars and restaurants. So we've got some real serious issues that no other district in the country, I guarantee you, has anybody talking about right here in NE2. We're taking the lead here on some serious issues. I wish these two could combine and form a super candidate. You know, like, don't tip the permafrost. You got to keep it upright, like that kind of thing. So today I'm stepping into the challenge. I'm officially launching my campaign for Congress in Nebraska's 2nd District, which is gearing up to be the most competitive House race in the country. That's actually true. I'm running for office because I'm fed up with politicians who talk tough and deliver nothing. I've seen what happens when leadership is absent, and I'm stepping up to fill that void. I just released our official launch video. I'm asking you right now to watch it and become a founding donor to this campaign on day one. Kishla Atkins, Democrat for Congress, stop to end. I don't think the last part was her. I think that they're like legally required to say that part. Anyways. Got a lot of heavy hitters here. Maybe Kishla will come on the show and educate me on the permafrost. And we'll get the tip guy on and they can have a debate. You know, like that's what we'll do here. I need another beer, dude. I mean, these are all. This feels like like I said, like a puppet candidate. Like they don't like the options they have, so they're gonna trot her out and hope that the other three are just gonna beat the hell out of each other, split the vote, and she can just sneak in and win. I mean, whenever you see someone come out, and of course all her views on her website are just the generic Democrat Party copy-paste talking points like they all are. Whenever you see someone come out of nowhere like this that nobody's ever heard of, like all these people that are running, I don't agree with them. John Kavanaugh, Brinker Harding, Crystal Rhodes, Denise Powell. Everyone, all these people have like a foothold in the community on one end of the spectrum or the other. Everyone knows who these people are. They've heard of them. There's people locally, politically that have experience with them, except this lady. And that creeps me out because that feels like she's a CIA plant. I'm only half joking here. She feels like she could be a CIA spook. And she's a white lady, so don't say I'm racist for calling. Spook has been, I would never use it racially. I'm talking about government secret agents, right? That's how it feels to me with this lady. So I don't know. So we've got those three, and then we've got John Kavanaugh, the senator, the state senator. He is the brother, I don't know if he's older or younger, of Michaela Kavanaugh, who is the prime example of why theater kids should not be allowed in politics. We should bully these people and keep them out. You know, if the people, if we would stop letting nerds get involved in politics, the first half of this show wouldn't even have been necessary. Because you wouldn't have had these people that have been picked on and held over toilet seats their whole lives finally trying to get back at people. Using these weird made-up positions as a way to get back at people. Those of us who maybe held them over the toilets or shoved them in the lockers. But Kavanaugh, he's got a lot of Democrats upset with him, is what a little birdie told me. A little birdie told me the Dems are not too thrilled with Mr. Meth-Mouth Kavanaugh. And God, dude, like, look. My teeth, not terrible. Not the best. I put minimal effort in. I floss. I brush twice a day. Every now and then I'll throw some mouthwash in to real spicing things up, figuratively and literally. It's not that hard to have decent teeth. I used to have bad teeth because I didn't take care of them. I lost two of them. I had to get two of them pulled, get infected. One of them wasn't my fault. I had a wisdom tooth that came all the way in and caved in the back molar, and they both had, it broke it, and they both had, it was nasty. They both had to come out. And then I had to get all my other three wisdom teeth taken out. But I had a tooth pulled because I didn't take care of it. It was a bad deal. I take care of my teeth. It's not that hard. Look the guy up. You gotta try to get your teeth as bad as this dude's. Horrific. Right? Well, a little birdie told me the other day that the Democrats are not too thrilled with Senator Kavanaugh. They're not thrilled with him because if he wins the primary and then goes on to win the general, which is a distinct possibility, he's got the name recognition, the family name in Nebraska. Kavanaughs are like the Bashirs in Kentucky. For whatever reason, that family is the exception to the we don't elect Democrat rule. Democrats rule. I don't understand it. Whatever, though. It must be some weird type of like Irish mob or something. I don't know anything. I'm just joking, right? Please don't sue me. But the Democrats are not happy with him because if he wins next November, that means that Jim Pillen or whoever the governor is, because we could be seeing a primary here with Herbster, some other information I have there that we're not going to go public with yet, but Chuck Herbster may be primarying Pillen. Regardless, whoever wins that primary is likely going to win the general election here in Nebraska. And if Kavanaugh wins, his seat will be vacant for 2 more years. And whoever the governor is, likely a Republican, will be allowed to appoint a new legislator to fill his shoes in the unicameral. And that's probably going to be a Republican in a dark blue district, which would then give the Republicans a supermajority in the unicameral to pass whatever they want. Wouldn't even need creepy Merv Reapy. So they could put a hard, you might as well just say, fuck them, we ball at that point. Don't throw a moderate that you're worried about getting reelected in. Understand you're going to lose regardless of who you put in because they're going to pour a ton of money and effort into that race. Put in a hard-line conservative that's really going to go a firebrand that's going to go in there and mess some stuff up. No limp dick moderates. Put me in there. Wouldn't that be fun if they put me in that spot? He's not my state senator, so they couldn't. We could rent me an apartment out in that part of town, and I wouldn't live at it. And we just, they do that crap all the time, right? Wouldn't that be funny if they made me the appointee? How mad people would get. Talk about leaked group chats, man. Holy crap. Leak stand-up footage, leak videos on podcasts. I wouldn't even run for re-election. I'd just take the L and have fun with it. But no, you put a firebrand in there, you force the agenda through, and you make us the red state we should be. You slash the taxes. You get rid of what little gun control we have left, and you go all out. So hear me out. I'm going to Vegas next month, so I'm gambling on the brain, and I just lost at poker the other night, so I'm not happy. But thinking gambling here, I'm thinking you hedge your bets. Do you split your aces right now at the blackjack table? And what I mean by that is, do you almost root for John Kavanaugh to win the Democrat primary, because you know that even if we lose the House race, we get the consolation of a supermajority in the legislature. Ask yourselves, how much effect would a Democrat congressman winning in any two, especially when you got Texas and Florida and Ohio and maybe even Missouri now, potentially redrawing their districts to keep the Republican House majority, how much would losing one, and I'm still endorsing Lindstrom, I'm just spitballing ideas here. I'm talking about how this may not be the end of the world if we lose this seat next November. How bad would it be for us here if we traded that House seat for a super majority in the unicameral to make Nebraska the red-blooded state it deserves to be? I would prefer to win the House race, right? But it wouldn't be the end of the world if Kavanaugh wins, because I think we can all agree what's going to affect us more, whether or not they do, the 18,000th hearing on Joe Biden and Dr. Fauci and his family, or whether or not your property tax rate gets cut in half. Whether or not we actually become a stand your ground state where you can defend yourself and we don't kowtow to the criminals anymore. That would matter more to me, personally. Not endorsing Kavanaugh by any means. All I'm saying is, yes, vote for Brett Lindstrom in the primary. If you don't like Brett Lindstrom and you're going to sit the primary out or whatever, I would never encourage this. It would be very, very, very stupid of you, and you should never do this. You should never, listen to me, under any circumstances, re-register as a Democrat or an independent, because independents can vote in federal primaries in the state of Nebraska for either party. You should never re-register as a Democrat or independent so you can go vote in the Democrat primary and vote for John Kavanaugh so we have some type of consolation prize even if we lose the House race. Never, under any circumstances, should you do that. That's been our show. Hope you guys have a good night. We'll see you Saturday. Monty Scott will be on. I love Monty's initials. If my initials were the same as a disorder in which the immune system ate away at the protective covering of the nerves, I would probably stop talking. That's been our show. Cheat on your taxes, not your spouse, and stay back.